Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS NBA Tuesday night. Got 7 games on the board. Coming off a decent Monday night, made a few dollars, went 2-1 in my bets on the website. I also hit the Mavericks. I bet Dallas minus 3.5 late. So made a few dollars. Nice little NBA Monday. Hopefully that positivity keeps rolling. Like I said, we got 7 games lined up for Tuesday. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, Houston on the road in Indiana. Pacers laying a full 7 points at home. The total sitting at 236.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, Rockets are going to win this one outright. Final score 116-115 Houston. Injuries on the Rockets side. Tari Eason is still out. Looked like he was coming back there for a second. He was listed as questionable, but I guess he's out again. Steady Freddie is also going to miss this one for the Rockets. No Van Vliet. We got a couple question marks on the Indiana side. Tyrese Halliburton is listed as questionable. So is Jalen Smith. So a couple question marks on the Pacers side. Betting trends on the Houston side. Rockets 4-2 against the spread in their last 6. Just 5-11-1 against the spread in their last 17 on the road, though. And 6-12-1 against the spread as a road underdog. So this hasn't been the spot to best Houston this year. On the Indiana side, just 4-5-1 against the spread in their last 10. 3-3-2 against the spread in their last 8 at home, and 7-7-1 against the spread as a home favorite this year. So pretty much 50-50 across the board for the Pacers. In this particular matchup, Indiana's definitely got the better out of Houston. They're 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 matchups against the Rockets. The under is 12-5 in the last 17 matchups between these two teams. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with the Pacers defense, and if we pull up the numbers from the last 10 games, Pacers have really done a great job defending the perimeter, 5th in frequency, 5th in efficiency against the above the break 3, and the Rockets take a lot of them, and they don't hit them. Houston just 4-7 in their last 11 games against top 8 3-point defenses, so definitely a solid start to the handicap for Indiana. And the matchup only gets better for Indiana's defense when we look at interior scoring. Houston's attempted 37% of their shots at the basket in the last 10. That's exactly what the Pacers want. They put a ton of pressure on the perimeter, force you inside to take contested layups. On paper, Pacers defense is a really tough matchup for the Rockets. But when we flip it around and take a look at the matchup for the Pacers offense, it's actually not great. Indiana, as we know, they attack the basket a lot. They're 5th in shot frequency at the rim this season. Houston's been elite protecting a basket this entire year. 4th in frequency, 9th in efficiency. The other main shot zone for the Pacers is the above the break 3, 11th in frequency, 7th in efficiency. But Houston's also been playing great defense out there, 5th in defensive efficiency against the above the break 3 this season. Another positive angle for the Rockets defense, we know this Indiana team loves to push the tempo. They love to get out in the fast break, 3rd in fast break frequency this season. Houston might have the best transition defense in the NBA. 4th in frequency, 2nd in efficiency. Probably Houston or Oklahoma City. So the Rockets defense might be a nightmare matchup for the Pacers. In fact, in the last 10 games, Houston is 6th in overall defensive rating. Indiana, check this out, 3-11 this season against top 8 defenses. So the Pacers have really struggled in these spots against elite defenses, which is why I got to go with Houston in this one. I already bet it. It was at 7.5 and I saw it drop to 7, and then I saw 6.5 popping up. So I grabbed one of the 7s. I got in at Rockets plus 7. Yeah, Fred VanVleet being out definitely sucks, but I think this Rockets defense is going to give Indiana all kinds of problems. So give me Houston plus 7. I'm also going to play the under at 236.5. I actually forgot to record an intro for this game. It's Dallas at Brooklyn. Both of these teams were playing when I started making the video, so I was just going to wait until the end, and then I forgot. So it's Dallas at Brooklyn. Mavericks catching 2 points at home. The total sitting at 233.5. As far as the spot, we got both these teams on back-to-backs. Dallas this season on 0 days rest, 5-3 against the spread, as opposed to the Nets this season on 0 days rest, 2-3-1 against the spread. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, Brooklyn has given the Mavericks problems in the past. Dallas just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 matchups against the Nets. The over is 3-1 in the last 4 head-to-head matchups. Mavericks 3-4 against the spread in their last 7 trips to Brooklyn. So let's match these two teams up on the court. Definitely a positive angle for the Mavericks offense. They should have no problem getting to the foul line here. 5th in free throw rate offensively in the last 10 games. Brooklyn's defense 26th. Dallas should also have the huge edge in transition here. 13th in frequency, efficiency. So the Mavericks have been very efficient in the fast break. That's an area where Brooklyn struggled all year defending the fast break. The positive angles for the Nets defense will be turnovers. In the last 10 games, Brooklyn's 9th in forced turnover rate. Dallas has had problems protecting the basketball. They're 25th. Also, above the break 3. Now, if I was recording this video 3 weeks ago, I would say this is a great matchup for Dallas. They love to shoot the above the break 3, and the Nets have struggled to defend the 3-point shot. But actually, in the last 10 games, the Nets have been playing great defense against a 3-point shot. So that's actually a positive angle for Brooklyn because they've been defending the 3 really well. On the other side of the court, we got the Nets offense against Dallas defense, and both these units kind of trending in opposite directions. Now, Dallas might be heavily influenced by the injuries, but still, Brooklyn's offensive rating on the season is 16th. In the last 5 games, they're 6th. Dallas defensive overall rating on the season, 25th. In the last 5 games, they're dead last, 30th. Now, again, they've been very injured, but still, dead last is dead last. And Dallas used to be a solid defense guarding jump shooters, but lately that hasn't been the case. In the last 10 games, they're actually 29th in defensive efficiency against the above the break 3. As we know, the Nets like to live from out there. 3rd in frequency, 13th in efficiency in the last 10 games from those zones. Nets also like to shoot a ton of those corner threes, the 2nd highest rate in the NBA in the last 10. Another area of weakness for Dallas, 23rd in frequency, 19th in efficiency. I didn't record a pick for this one. I don't really know. I want to see what the line does. This is a pass for now. Might have a pick for this one on the live show at 4 p.m. Next game. Memphis on the road in New York here. Knicks laying 12.5 or 13, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 214.5, so super low total in this one. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we're looking at a comfortable Knicks win. Final score 116-102 New York. Injuries on the Memphis side, and you already know this is just crazy. Memphis missing their entire starting 5. Even Tillman and Jaren Jackson Jr. are doubtful for this one. So usually they still have their front court out there. Front court's out as well. Derrick Rose might be back. He's listed as questionable, so I guess that's a positive. Luke Kennard is also healthy, but as a whole, I mean, this is truly nuts what's gone on with Memphis this year. I suppose the good news for the Grizzlies would be that the Knicks aren't healthy either. Julius Randle going to miss at least another 2 weeks. OG Anunoby's out again. And Quentin Grimes is going to miss another one off the bench too. Betting trends on the Memphis side. Grizzlies 6-2 against the spread in the last 8, so they're not winning games, but they do cover the number. 6-2 to the under. So the under is 6-2 in the last 8 Memphis games. Memphis is 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 on the road, and 12-11 against the spread as road underdogs this year. On the Knicks side, as we know, New York's been red hot. 14-4 against the spread in their last 18. The under is 16-2 in the last 18 Knicks games, so under's been automatic in Knicks games. They're 10-2 against the spread in their last 12 at home. The under 11-1 in the last 12 Knicks home games, and they're 12-7 against the spread as home favorites this year. As far as this particular matchup, at a quick glance, it looks like the Knicks have gotten the better of Memphis, 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games against the Grizzlies, but they're just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 matchups against the Grizzlies at Madison Square Garden. So the Knicks have been much better on the road in Memphis. The over is actually 7-1 in the last 8 matchups between these two teams, and the over is 4-0 in the last 4 matchups at Madison Square Garden. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and the first thing that pops right out at us is strength of schedule. In the last 10 games, obviously we know the Knicks are cruising and the Grizzlies have been struggling, but the Knicks in the last 10 games are 27th in strength of schedule. Memphis is 2nd, so these teams haven't even been close as far as the quality of competition. So obviously it's going to be really hard to handicap this game because all the recent numbers are going to be seriously skewed to the Knicks. Defensive rating, 2nd. Memphis offense, 30th. I mean, it's like the best defense in the NBA against the worst offense in the NBA. Look at the rebounding numbers. Knicks, 2nd. Memphis offense, 22nd. Free throw rate, Knicks 4th. Memphis offense, 22nd. I mean, as far as the Knicks defense against the Grizzlies offense, there's nothing here. I mean, as we know, Memphis has been taking a ton of above the break 3s, 5th in shot frequency from the above the break 3 in the last 10. Knicks are 1st in defensive efficiency against the above the break 3 in the last 10 games. So on paper, Knicks defense is probably the worst matchup in the NBA for Memphis. Now let's flip it over to the other side of the court and talk about the Knicks offense. Knicks should have the rebounding edge on this side as well. 2nd in offensive rebounding rate. Memphis defensively 21st in the last 10. And you add on the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, it should only be worse. Knicks have been attacking the a lot recently. They're 6th in frequency in the last 10 at the basket. During that span, we've seen a major drop-off in production from the Grizzlies' rim protection. 30th in frequency, 15th in efficiency. And again, Jaren Jaren Jackson Jr. not playing in this game, former Defensive Player of the Year. The only positive angles you can find here for the Memphis defense, Knicks probably going to have trouble getting to the free throw line, just 23rd in free throw rate in the last 10. Memphis defense is 9th, so they don't send a lot of guys to the line. Also, transition. Knicks like to push the pace a little bit, 12th in frequency, 8th in efficiency. Memphis defense has actually been really good against the fast break. As far as betting this game, I mean, there's no way I'd lay this number with the Knicks without Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, Grimes. I mean, there's no way. But at the same time, I don't think I have the balls to bet Memphis either. So I'll say Memphis plus the big number pass, but this is most likely just a pass. Next game. Orlando on the road at Miami. The Heat are laying 3 points at home. The total all the way down to 213.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, Orlando wins this one outright. Final score 112-107 Magic. Injuries on the Orlando side, we have none. Which is huge because the Magic have been dealing with injuries all year. But last 2 or 3 weeks, they really got themselves together. Nobody on the report for the Magic. On the Miami side, some good news. Heat may be getting Duncan Robinson back. He's missed the last 2 or 3 games. He's listed as questionable. Tyler Hero is also on the injury report, but he's listed as probable, so he should be good to go. As far as the betting spot for the Heat, we do have to take note that this is the first leg of a back-to-back. They immediately play the Spurs tomorrow night. But the thing is, Orlando's a division rivalry. The Spurs is a non-conference game against a bad team in the West. So this game is way more meaningful. I would just throw that out. The game against the Spurs, that's where we can look at that as a flat spot for the Heat, but not this one against Orlando. Betting trends on the Orlando side. The Magic have been covering. 5-0 against the spread in their last 5, 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 on the road, 13-9 against the spread this season as a road underdog. Meanwhile, the trends on the Miami side are almost the exact opposite. 1-9 against the spread in their last 10. That's just crazy. 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 at home. The under is 7-1 in the last 8 Miami Heat home games. And they are 9-10 against the spread as home favorites this year. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, as we know, the Heat have always gotten the better of the Magic in this division rivalry. Miami is 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 against the Magic. The under is 7-3 in the last 10 Magic Heat games in Miami. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with the Orlando offense, and this isn't a great matchup for the Magic offensively. 2 high-frequency shot zones for the Magic. The rim, they're 4th in shot frequency at the rim in the last 10 games, and they also like to shoot the long mid-range shot. Those are the 2 strongest zones in the Heat defense. Heat defensively in the last 10 games, 3rd in frequency, 13th in efficiency at the rim, and against the long mid-range shot, 7th and 9th. So the Heat have defended those zones really well, the 2 zones that Orlando frequents. Good news for the Magic, though, when we flip it over to the other side of the court, really tough to find positive angles for Miami's offense right now. I mean, as we know, they've been struggling. I guess we could point at free throw rate. That's a positive angle for Miami's offense. 8th on the season in free throw rate. Orlando's defense, 27th. So Miami should see some opportunities from the foul line. Also, that short mid-range shot that Miami loves. You see Butler, Adebayo, that little 8 to 10 footer. Tyler Hero shoots from there as well. They're 1st in shot frequency from that zone in the last 5 games. That's been the weakness of the Orlando defense. 16th in frequency, 27th in efficiency in the last 5. After that, though, there's 2 major disadvantages for the Heat offense here. Not going to see many second chance opportunities. Just 25th in offensive rebounding rate on the year. Orlando defensively is 4th. Also, probably going to have some problems protecting the basketball. Orlando's defense 1st in forced turnover rate this season. Miami's offense back at 17th. As far as betting this game, I mean, it's really tough to call because on paper, Orlando plus 3.5 should be the automatic play. But Miami seems to always beat up on the Magic, so I really could see them winning and covering this one. It feels like a coin flip at this number. I guess I'll say Magic or pass, but this is most likely just a pass for me. Next game. Minnesota on the road in Chicago. Bulls catching 5 points at home with a total sitting at 217. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. We're looking at a close Minnesota win according to the model. Final score 111-110 T-Wolves. Injuries on the Minnesota side, none. No injuries for Minnesota. So T-Wolves should be at full strength for this one. On the Chicago side, we do have a lot of names on the injury report, but most of them are listed as probable. Patrick Williams, he's definitely out, but he's been out for 4 or 5 games now. To be honest, he's been on and off the court pretty much all season. After that, it looks like Caruso's the only one who has a chance of actually missing the game. He's listed as questionable. The other guys are all listed as probable. Betting trends on the Minnesota side. T-Wolves 3-1 against the spread in their last 4, 5-6 against the spread in their last 11 on the road, 8-9 against the spread as road favorites. The under has been hitting for Minnesota, 11-5 to the under in the last 16, 6-2 to the under in their last 8 on the road. On the Chicago side, we got the Bulls at 5-3 against the spread in their last 8, 10-5 against the spread in their last 15 at home. 6-3-1 against the spread as a home dog this year. The over is 3-1 in their last 4 home games. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, the Bulls have gotten the better of the T-Wolves. Minnesota just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4 against the Bulls. They're also 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 trips to Chicago. The over is 11-2 in the last 13 matchups between these two, and the over is also 6-0 in the last 6. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with Minnesota's offense. Bulls defense should be a really tough matchup for them. Right off the bat, Bulls have been great as far as forcing turnovers, 5th in forced turnover rate on the season. Minnesota just 28th offensively. Also, we know how this Minnesota team loves to attack the paint. They love to try to score at the rim. That's been the strength of the Bulls defense recently. In the last 10 games, Bulls are 3rd and 14th in frequency and efficiency in the paint, and 7th and 11th in frequency and efficiency at the rim. The Chicago Bulls have allowed the 3rd fewest field goals made within 8 feet of the basket in the last 10 games. The good news for Minnesota is when we flip it over and take a look at the other side of the court, all the positive angles point towards the Minnesota defense. Bulls have been attacking the rim a lot as well. In the last 10 games, they're 10th in rim frequency. As we know, Minnesota's had arguably the best interior defense in the NBA so far this season. As far as betting this game, to me, it's really clear that the value's on Chicago here. Just a little nervous that the Bulls have laid eggs in each of their last 2 home games. It's against the Kings and the Raptors. But on paper, this game should come down to the wire. So obviously catching 5 points with a home team is going to be a good bet. So I'm going to take the Bulls at +5. I'm just a little worried that the Bulls are starting to slide. But give me the Bulls. Bulls +5 next game. Oklahoma City on the road in Utah. Jazz catching 3 points at home, and the total sitting at 243.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, final score is 116, which obviously is impossible, but that's what the model's given us. Injuries on the Oklahoma City side. Some good news, actually. Thunder may be getting Jalen Williams back, which is huge. He's missed the last 3 games for OKC. Isaiah Joe will not be back, though. He's listed as out. On the Utah side, we got nothing. Jazz have been really fortunate with the injuries. They had a couple early in the season, but last few weeks have been smooth sailing for Utah. Betting trends on the Oklahoma City side. Thunder just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5, so OKC hasn't been covering the number. They are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road, though, and they are 7-6 against the spread as road favorites this year. On the Utah side, Jazz also haven't been covering the number recently, just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. The over is 8-4 in their last 12, but this has been the spot to bet the Jazz, though. At home catching points. They are 17-5 against the spread in their last 22 home games. They're also 10-4 against the spread this season as a home underdog. Here's the bad news for the Jazz. In this particular matchup, Oklahoma City has owned them. OKC is 18-4 against the spread in their last 22 matchups against the Jazz, 9-2 against the spread in their last 11 trips to Utah. In those games, the last 18 trips to Utah, the under has 14-4. So if you've been betting this series in Utah, bet the Thunder and bet the under. So let's match these two teams up on the court. So Oklahoma City has really balanced their offense out a lot. They still attack the paint at a high rate, but not nearly as much as they were earlier in the season. And that balance is going to come in handy here because protecting the interior has definitely been the strength of the Jazz defense this season. Where Utah has been struggling is to guard the three-point line, specifically above the break. Look at the last 5 games. They've been getting smoked from out there. 25th in frequency, 29th in efficiency. And Oklahoma City, if I was recording this a month ago, I'd say that's a bad matchup. But if you look at their recent games, look at the last 10. 13th in frequency, 4th in efficiency from the above the break 3. So Oklahoma City really shoring up the 3-point shooting recently. Another positive angle for OKC here. As we know, this team lives in transition. This is probably the best fast break offense in the NBA, or at least it has been so far this year. 1st in frequency, 6th in efficiency. That is terrible news for the Jazz, who have been awful in transition defensively. 30th in frequency, 17th in efficiency. The only negative angle here for Oklahoma City has been the overall decline in production. It's not really getting talked about as much, but OKC really hasn't been as dominant offensively. Oklahoma's offensive rating, it's 119.3 on the full year. What that means is they were averaging 119.3 points per 100 possessions. That's how those numbers are measured. Look at the last 10 games, drops down to 116.6. If you look at the last 5 games, 115.6. So Oklahoma City offensively is playing its worst basketball of the season. And if you're thinking, oh, well, maybe they played a strong schedule recently, in the last 10 games, Oklahoma City's strength of schedule, 28th. In the last 5 games, it's 26th. So they've actually played a very easy schedule, and the offense is still declining. On the other side of the court, we got the Jazz offense, and right off the bat, huge edge in the rebounding department, and I mean huge. Jazz, second in offensive rebounding rate in the NBA this season. Oklahoma City defensive rebounding rate, 29th. So Utah should have plenty of second chance opportunities here. After the rebounding numbers, it's definitely tough to find positive angles for Utah, though. The Oklahoma City defense, second in the NBA on the season in forced turnover rate. Utah offensively, 30th. So the Jazz have had a lot of problems protecting the basketball this year. Oklahoma City should be able to force plenty of turnovers. And this is not a team, as we just saw, this is not a team you want to let get out in the fast break. Speaking of the fast break, the Jazz offense likes to run some themselves. 11th in transition frequency offensively on the season. Oklahoma City has arguably the best fast break defense in the NBA this year, first and third. Overall, no question that this is a good matchup for Oklahoma City on paper, but it's really tough to fade the Jazz as home underdogs because they've almost been automatic this year. But I'm leaning towards OKC, and I haven't bet it yet. I don't plan on betting it tonight. I'll probably bet it on the live show. But if I can get a 2.5, I will jump on Oklahoma City. So I'm going to say Oklahoma City here for the video. But if it's sitting at 3.5, I'm just going to sit on it. I probably will end up on the Thunder. We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll post it in the Discord and on the website and stuff. But yeah, I'm on Oklahoma City. Next, Milwaukee on the road in Phoenix. Suns are laying 3.5 or 4 or 4.5, depending on your sports book. This line's all over the place. I think I'm seeing mostly 4.5s. But I do see a 3.5 open. So yeah, line's all over the place. Total sitting at 244.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we're looking at a close Suns win. Final score 119-118 Phoenix. Injuries on the Milwaukee side. Two big question marks here. Damian Lillard and Brook Lopez both listed as questionable. Chris Middleton and Giannis are both in the injury report as well, but they're listed as probable. So Bucks, we need to figure out Damian Lillard and Brook Lopez. That's huge. On the Phoenix side, we got nobody. Suns are listed as fully healthy. They should be at full strength. Betting trends on the Milwaukee side, and they are pretty awful looking. Just 4-14 against the spread in their last 18. 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 on the road. The under is 8-1 in their last 9 road games as well. On the Phoenix side, Suns are 6-4 against the spread in their last 10. Just 4-13 against the spread in their last 17 at home, though. But unders have been cashing for the Suns as well. 8-3 in their last 11 games and 8-3 in their last 11 home games. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, check this out. So Milwaukee has gotten the better of Phoenix. They're 6-1-1 against the spread in their last 8 straight up against the Suns. But they're just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 trips to Phoenix. So basically, the home team has owned this head-to-head series. If they're playing Milwaukee, bet the Bucks. If they're playing in Phoenix, bet the Suns. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with a positive angle for Milwaukee's offense. As we know, they like to shoot a lot of above-the-break threes. They're 8th in frequency from that shot zone. That's been a glaring weakness of the Suns' defense this whole season. 16th in frequency, 26th in efficiency. But if you switch the numbers from the full season to just the last 10 games, you can see Phoenix has actually really sharpened up their defense out there. In the last 10 games, 12th in frequency, 9th in efficiency against the above the break three. So I actually like the matchup for Phoenix defense out there. Another area where the Bucks like to take a lot of shots, the long mid-range, 3rd in frequency, 5th in efficiency in the last 10. So the Bucks have been shooting the mid-range shot well. During that same span, the last 10 games, Suns defense 22nd in frequency, so they've given up a lot of attempts, but they're 5th in efficiency, so they've defended that shot zone well as well. Milwaukee's offense also very good in transition. They're 3rd in fast break efficiency this year, but you know what? Suns defense has been pretty solid defending it. 8th in defensive efficiency against the fast break. So overall, when you first glance at this game, you would think it's a great matchup for the Bucks offense, but I disagree. I actually like this matchup for Phoenix defensively. When we flip it around and talk about the matchup for the Suns offense, obviously you got to start with the long mid-range shot. The Suns live from that zone. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, they all shoot that long mid-range shot. On the season, they're 2nd in frequency, 6th in efficiency from that zone. Bucks are one of the worst in the NBA. 29th in frequency, 29th in efficiency defending that. Phoenix also likes to shoot that short mid-range shot as well. In the paint, 12th in frequency, 3rd in efficiency in their last 10. During that same span, the last 10 games, what do you know? Milwaukee towards the back of the NBA. 26th in frequency, 27th in efficiency. The only positive angle for the Bucks defense in this matchup would be the rebounding. Phoenix has not been a great offensive rebounding team. In the last 10 games, just 22nd. Bucks defensively 4th. So probably not a ton of second chance opportunities for the Suns. But it doesn't matter. That's not enough to scare me off the Suns here. Bottom line, I like the matchup for the Suns defense. I like the matchup for the Suns offense. The Bucks have been awful on the road, almost an auto fade. And we're getting Phoenix in a favorable matchup at a short number, like 3.5. No hesitation. Suns minus 3.5. Like I mentioned, live show 4 p.m. Eastern time. The college basketball live show will be at 3 p.m. Eastern time. NBA live show 4 p.m. Eastern time. If you able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. We got Jay Briggs coming on tomorrow. If you want my top bets, parlays of the day, or you'd like to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information is right there on the homepage. Let's have ourselves a solid Tuesday night. Remember to bet responsibly. See you on the live show.